Hello from this corner of Barcelona. Can you see it? This is the balcony of my house stroke cave stroke office stroke filming area, which is where I will be doing what you're about to see. It's a new episode of the Pure Football Podcast, which also you can see on video, of course, and it's a conversation that the members of the Pure Football Podcast are going to do with Santiago Solari. Now, Santi Solari is one of those managers that perhaps you only relate to Real Madrid, or you remember him only as a player for Atletico Madrid with his long hair running up and down the left wing, or with Real Madrid winning the Champions League. He went to Italy, of course, and did well with Inter. But when he became a coach, he realized, number one, that he knew a lot about football. His dad was a player and a coach, also his uncle. So he comes from a family of football brains. But he realized as well that to get where he wanted to, which is he's ambitious, he will want to get to top clubs. Well, then he had to take a couple of steps back and learn the job. So he went at Real Madrid. They gave him the opportunity to coach the under-14s, eventually the under-16s, and went to Castilla, Real Madrid B. There was a bit of an accident in the first team, and he had to take over. And some would say the results weren't great. In fact, they weren't looking close enough, because what he did is to allow some of the youngsters to come through, some of the youngsters that have brought money to Real Madrid, like Reguilón, or now success, like Vinicius and Fede Valverde. Anyway, we're talking about all that, and I wanted to have Santi Solari in the show because he is a special brain too, like the members of his family, and I wanted you to share basically how he thinks about the game and how he thinks about himself as a coach. So here it is, Santi Solari in the Pure Football Podcast. Well, Santi, I was saying that you're not the usual manager because I'm sure you had the opportunity as soon as you retired and became a coach to actually get a job in the first division in any of the leagues that you played in. Don't answer if you did or you didn't. But why did you actually take the step of dealing with 14, 15-year-olds in the quarry of Real Madrid?
Well, I think there are different reasons for that. No? One is that coaching is a completely different sport from playing. You need a different set of skills, obviously, and you have to learn in the process. You have to deal with your formation first, academical formation, and then you have to try to build a body of knowledge before to get into the real action in professional football. No, that was one of the reasons. The other reason was that I'm a physical fitness professor. I had my degree while I was playing in River Plate professionally already, and I experienced what it is to be with kids, at the classroom or in the courtyard, and to deal with them and to learn from them as well. So I enjoy all that formation stages. The third one is that I really didn't need or didn't want to rush the career when you finish such a stressful and difficult career as a professional football players for 15, 16 years. You really don't miss that excitement immediately, or at least that didn't happen to me. No, I know it is there and it can wait, and you can enjoy other things meanwhile. And Real Madrid gave me that first the Spanish Federation where I finished my degrees and started my first practices, and then Real Madrid younger stage, 13-year-old kids, 14, 15, 16, and it's really on a stage that I enjoyed a lot, and I wouldn't to keep doing. Only that when you are in the structure already, you don't have a call anymore. When they are, calling you from bigger teams, and you have to, accept the new roles. But I wouldn't have mind to keep going a few more years coaching, for example, juvenila, 18, 17, 18-year-old boys. That play a fantastic UEFA Youth League competition, and it is a stage where kids are finishing their development. They still cry sometimes. They are vulnerable. Many of them don't know if they're going to have a career. I mean, I enjoyed it so much.
But when you started dealing with kids at Real Madrid, a lot of it must have come naturally. But what was the hardest thing for you to go from, you know, the professional elite atmosphere to having to deal with these guys with their dreams and ambitions?
When you deal with kids, their talents and their skills as football players, but they're building their character as well. They are growing as persons. They are not persons. So it's completely whatever they feel. Everything has a great impact, or can have a great impact on their days and on their careers. So it's you need a lot of patience and a lot of vocation to dedicate yourself to those stages. And I admire a lot of the coaches that, and the younger the kids, the more I admire the coaches. It's amazing to see the coaches coach 5 or 6 or 7-year-old kids. It is very difficult even to, you know, put them in a line to make an exercise, or to try to, you know, make them be all concentrated around an idea. Is something that is just for a few very good teachers, no?
In fact, there is something that I always like to do. Managers that started with lower ranked teams or people from the quarry, I like to link them to what happened to these players and look back, and you know, this is the team that they had. Look at the players where they are now, and a lot of them tend to mention those managers that along the way have helped them. So, in your case, what young players have you had which now they've done it well professionally, and they must be at the start of their careers? I can think of 3 or 4, but I'll let you choose some names.
Yeah, but because you build a relationship that the relationship you can build with a professional football player, I mean, that it can be very, very good and of respect and admiration even. But when you build that relationship when they are young, it's completely different. There's a bond there that it's difficult to get when they are already professionals. Yes. Well, for example, Federico Valverde, who got to Real Madrid Castilla very, very young, and now he's a man and he's playing, or Vinicius, who was 17 when he got to Real Madrid, a young kid, you know, Javi Sanchez, Cristo, players all that are playing first division, Ashraf, for example. Or Fidalgo. I met him when he was at the second juvenile team, Juvenil B, and then he was in the A team, and then he went to when he got to the stage to be in Castilla, he had to go away because he was still not mature enough to play for Castilla, so he had to, you know, go to other team and then come back, and then he was the captain of Real Madrid Castilla, and now I have him with me here in America de Mexico. So, but there are other players that I had when they were 13 years old in cadetes, Fran Garcia, Rayo Vallecano, and Jaime Seoane or Jaume Grau, they're playing in Spain. Borja Mayoral, who's playing at Rome. I mean, I don't know. There are many players.
I'll tell you one that looks very highly of you, and it was partly down to the fact that you were listening to him and giving him information that he did not have. And I guess that's a story for most young players at the time, but talks very, very highly of you. That's Martin Odegaard.
Martin Odegaard, yes.
He feels that you dedicated a lot of time to him. You didn't have to because you had other players.
He got to Real Madrid so young. He was 15 or 16 years old. And he went straight to... He had it difficult because he went to train with the first team, which none of his age were doing. No, he was a talent, of course, but sometimes it's easier for them to start, you know, relating with the kids their age, going where the first team calls you, than being all time. I mean, you learn other things because if you're all the time with the first team, you learn from the great guys, from the geniuses. But then he had to many times come back and play for Castilla. And sometimes it's very difficult if you don't train with those players all the time. So he was growing footballistically, and he was growing as a person as well. And he didn't have it easy at Real Madrid at the beginning, and he showed character, and there were so many expectations on this young kid, no? So to manage all that pressure from such an early beginning, it talks great about him. I'm really glad he grew as a player and as a person. First going to Real Sociedad, then coming back, and now playing in Arsenal. I hope he's happy, and yes, of course, I dedicated a lot of time to him, as well to other players. So if he got one thing from what I tried to teach him, and it's good for him, I'm happy.
Especially the America fans and the fans in America, both and in the world. I want them to know you journey to America, de Mexico, now where you are, and I want to know why is it going so well. But to get to there, you also went through a period in which you were thrown into a situation which was the first team of Real Madrid halfway through a season, and then you had to deal with everything that was around you. That was your first senior experience. Did you feel you were prepared at that point, and when you started having to give answers to all the questions that you had every day, did it come more right than wrong, you felt?
Oh yes, I think I was prepared and I was ready. I mean, yes, Real Madrid is I believe, or I like to think it's my house. No, I had the opportunity to do the different roles, playing, coaching kids, coaching in Real Madrid Castilla almost 3 years, then coaching the first team, then being an ambassador. I know the club from within, and I know all the structure, and I felt I was prepared and ready. But then coaches have to deal with the the time that and the my English is getting wrong now. It's getting worse.
I know what you're trying to say.
With the things that are happening at that moment, no?
Yeah.
So you make the decisions that you consider necessary at that particular time. That's the job that coaches have to do, and to try to make it better for the institution, knowing what the institutional goals are, and knowing the history of the institution. You don't get to choose the time, mainly when you love the club you work for. You don't get to choose it. You have to be there when the club needs you and try the best. And so I feel it was a fantastic experience, and I'm very grateful always Real Madrid.
In fact, you actually went and did it the difficult way. If you are having your first experience where everybody's looking at you at the highest level, even though you were at Castilla, Real Madrid for 3 years, but when everybody's looking, and this is Real Madrid, it's normal to take safe decisions, if you like. Just stick with the big names. But no, you went and gave opportunities to Fede Valverde in central midfield, to Vinicius when he was 17, to Reguilón, despite the fact that Marcelo was still there. You must have felt the backing of the institution of Real Madrid for you to do that, or did you just feel that was the right thing to do at the time?
I felt that it was the right thing to do at that moment. That's what we do, coaches. We are there to make decisions, and to take decisions and to try to do it right, not just right with the heart, right with the, thinking about it, rationally thinking about it, and that's all I can tell you.
I've got friends in Mexico, in the capital as well, which tell me that the gigantic shape or size of the city and earthquakes remind them all the time how little they are, and that they actually, don't count so much in this natural world that is much bigger than them.
Yes, I mean, sometimes we're living there in Europe, even in London or Madrid, we forget that there are other parts of the world with so many, geographically so alive, because it's not only the earthquakes here. We have hurricanes all the time. Hurricanes on the Pacific, hurricanes on the Gulf of Mexico, and then we have a volcano. Like I can see right now, I'm watching, through my window, and I can see the Popocatépetl, which is one of the highest peaks here in Mexico. It's 80 kilometers away, but I can see it from my window. And sometimes, you can see the smoke that it liberates over it. And so they have volcanoes too. It's so rich and so dangerous sometimes that it puts you in completely different perspective. Yeah, of being very little. Yes,
because you went through an earthquake a few days ago.
Yeah, 3 days ago. Yes, it moved. The building moved quite a lot. For me, that I didn't have an experience with earthquakes. I mean, then I went down, and people were saying like, no, 4 years ago that was hard, and not this one. And I really wouldn't be here in one stronger than the one that was 3 days ago.
You are in Mexico because you are at America. For those that don't know the club, just give us a little bit of context of what kind of club it is, because what you're doing is extraordinary. But what did you have in your hands?
Well, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, every country is a little bit, that what is the war when you look only to yourself? The Spanish football, it's always looking at Spanish football. English football is just, what happens with Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Manchester United, and the rest of the world like kind of disappears. But Mexico it's a titan. You have to multiply the population of those European countries for 4 or 5, by 4 by 5. And America is probably one of the most popular teams in all Latin America, alongside probably, I don't know, with Sao Paulo or Flamenco or Boca, River. But in North America, we travel many times through North American cities. We play friendly matches, and America has a gigantic fan base in all the United States as well. So we have this huge stadium that everybody knows, the Estadio Azteca, with capacities for more than 110,000 people. It's just huge. So everything here is gigantic, and the popularity of Club America is enormous. And we have to deal with that, with all those expectations, Guillem, which are great too.
And I have been studying what you've been doing at America since the beginning of 2021, which is more or less when you arrive, of course. Your percentage of wins, it's a record at the club you beat a record of 92 years. 83%, you take 83% of the points. I mean,
well, it's not sustainable. This is not an amount of point that you can look up to, because it isn't real. I mean, you cannot. It's 9 months, but it's impossible to maintain. No, it's statistically not possible to do it. The team did very, very good, and but if you lose a few games or you draw a few games, that percentage would drop. I mean, we are maintaining it, and we'll try, and it is good for the players to see what they achieved, but it's not a percentage that you can say, no, we are going to try to keep this, because no European club that it is champion, it is with these percentages. I mean, Man City, it was champion with 78 or 79%, or Atletico Madrid, or Inter de Milan, or Bayern Munich. No, so. And then you have that here in Mexico, the competition is unique, as the country is. You have the marathon, that is the regular season. And when it finishes, it opens up again. And then you have another competition with 12 teams from 18, from 17. From 18 teams, you have 12. And you have to beat them all again to be champions. So you have to be like champions 2 times to be champions here. And it's fantastic. I mean, I love it. It's great. It's passionate, and we'll try to do it this year.
I would love to travel to Mexico and spend a week seeing you work. If I'm allowed into the changing room,
you should. I mean, because the city is amazing, the country is amazing, and the club is fantastic, and you get to I mean, I've been in contact with South American football because these are my roots, and with Latin American football. But sometimes, from the European perspective, you are not able to see the size of other football countries, and this one is very special.
But I'll tell you why I'm saying that as well, is because I see the pictures and the videos of you as you training, or the beginning of the training, what's allowed to be filmed, and what I see is a guy that is like, I'm just passing by here. Do you mind if I just advise one or two things, touching the ball with them because he's got quality to do so? Not imposing at all. That's the impression that you give, that you actually, if you want, I'll give you some advice about what we should be doing. Am I getting close about the leadership that you?
Well, but the coaching has different stages, and there are different days, and of course, what people is allowed to see sometimes in the through the media, or social media. We have a whole department that dedicates to that. Bear in mind that America it's a brand from Televisa as well, so there's a huge network of filmmakers and studios that is behind us as well. So it's nice to see how they interact, the club with the television and radio and everything else, because it's part of it's more or less part of the same global brand. But sometimes people is not able to see what happens in the training session, in the most important part of the sessions, because of course your rivals can watch it too. So there are parts that are not allowed for everybody else to see.
You should know that that's how you get portrayed. I don't know if you like that or not, but
fantastic. Yeah, I love it. I mean, the main characters and the protagonists of football players, and that I know, I have always known, and that doesn't change now that I coach.
We are finishing the conversation, and I would like with every podcast, that all the UK media takes things from it, because we've been so interesting, but also because we're just giving them one or two headlines. What I want to say is, I love to see you in the Premier League. I love to see you managing, because say 10 years ago, it was very difficult for somebody that proposed something different. Somebody had the experience that you're having to actually get into the Premier League. Now it's difficult because the best ones are there, but it will be a sign that you got to that level. Is that something that in your motivation and your targets is a possibility to end up in the Premier League sometime?
Look, I had the chance, or almost had the chance, to go to the Premier League to play, but finally I didn't have it, and I went to Italy, which was a fantastic experience in Inter de Milan, because we won everything, and it was a great team. But it's like something missing. I mean, going to England, to the where football was born, and such an exciting league to play. I couldn't do it. So yes, there's a goal of going sometime to work there. I'm not in a rush at all. I'm working here in Mexico. I'm happy here. I don't know how many years more I have here. I'm enjoying this experience a lot. But eventually, yes, of course, that's a fantastic football that I would like to know and to experience. And now there have been many coaches that have give their experience to the English football. And you have Bielsa there, and Pochettino was there, and Pep and Tuchel, from different nationalities. So I think they opened a little bit the road for some of us.
A protagonist coach that adapts to what he has in his hands, but if wanting more the ball, having the ball than not having the ball, that is a little bit the essence of what I think you are, for what I've seen in your coaching and in your play in your teams. Good luck with the rest of the season with America. Now is the difficult task of actually getting to the second part of the season and still showing what you have showed so far. It is more like a knockout competition. So good luck with it. Good luck with the semi-finals as well, and hope to talk to you soon at the end of that, when we all celebrate what has been a great season for you.